Live from the Western Mass News Studios in Springfield, this is Better Western Mass.
Hey there, everybody. Hope you're doing well on a Monday afternoon. I'm Taylor Jacobs. So health experts are worried spring break could lead to another spike in COVID cases. It's what we're starting with here on Better Western Mass. So over in Florida, police had to control some gatherings that had gotten a bit too wild. Our Western Mass News correspondent Natasha Chen has more.
Spring break is here in Miami, with people crowding the beaches and bars as if there is no pandemic. Some gatherings grew out of control. Miami Beach authorities arrested at least 100 people over the weekend. And without a statewide mask mandate in Florida, local leaders must impose their own rules, something the Miami Beach mayor says is even more difficult with spring breakers in town.
The governor has made it difficult. We have a mask mandate, we just can't find anybody.
Despite the CDC urging Americans to avoid travel, according to the TSA, nearly 2.6 million passengers went through checkpoints at airports across the U.S. Friday and Saturday.
People are going on spring break and letting down their guard as some of these new, more infectious variants are spreading across the country.
The threat of partygoers spreading the virus isn't the only big concern for health experts. While nearly 15% of U.S. adults are fully vaccinated this morning, a large number of former President Donald Trump supporters are refusing shots. According to a new poll, nearly half of people who backed Trump in 2020 say they will not get the vaccine.
In Arkansas, it's a very pro-Trump state in terms of the last election. And so we see that resistance whenever we are opening up eligibility for the vaccine.
We are seeing vaccine hesitancy, and a lot of that's dealing with white Republicans, quite honestly.
While all other living former presidents were publicly vaccinated, Trump quietly received his vaccine in January.
I cannot imagine that if he comes out that they would not get vaccinated. It would be very helpful to the effort for that to happen.
As the vaccine rollout continues, some states like Maryland are relaxing pandemic restrictions, a move the governor defended.
We didn't lift restrictions. We did raise capacity limits, but we kept the most serious mitigation measures in place, which is masking and distancing.
Dr. Anthony Fauci asks Americans to keep following personal safety measures, warning the U.S. is vulnerable for another coronavirus surge.
We can avoid that if we continue to vaccinate people, get more and more protection without all of a sudden pulling back on public health measures.
All right, well, let's take some of your questions at home to the experts. This afternoon, we have Dr. Erica Hamilton, a microbiologist from UMass Amherst, joining us. Dr. Hamilton, welcome back to the show. So the first question from the viewers goes like this. I got my first Pfizer vaccine, but I'm still waiting to get my second dose. How protected am I against COVID in the meantime?
In the clinical studies run by both Pfizer and Moderna, they found that people did have some immunity between the first and second shot, and it is about 50%. So you're about half as protected as you will be right now until you get your second shot. Then it will go up to around 95% efficacy.
Right, there you go, as simple as it can be. So how about this one from another viewer? And it's rather interesting. I'm sure plenty are in this similar shoes. All of my family has been vaccinated except my brother. Is it safe for us to all gather without masks?
It is relatively safe, though you do need to remember that the COVID and the COVID vaccines, whether it's Pfizer or Moderna, have a 94 to 95% efficacy rate. That means there is a small chance that you can get COVID. Now, no one who has gotten the vaccine has been hospitalized or has died from COVID, but you can still pass it to each other, especially if there is an unvaccinated person in your group. So social distancing, meeting outside, and wearing a mask is still important to do right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Almost as you've been preaching throughout all of this. So how about this final one as we wrap up? What happens if I lose that card that I was given after I got my first vaccine?
When you go to get your second one, the person registering you for your shot when you finally go in person should be able to get you a new card and put the date of your first vaccination on it. That information is accessible in the state vaccine database. It can be a little bit hard for the general public to access, so once you do get your second card, make sure that you keep track of it, make a copy of it, take a picture of it, whatever you have to do so that if it does go missing or get damaged in the future, you have a backup of it.
Yeah, that's a really good point right there. It never hurts to have a copy of anything. My mom always told me that growing up. She's wise. So are you. Dr. Erica Hamilton, really do appreciate you joining us here on this Monday afternoon. Your insight always helps us get through this tough start to the week. And remember, everybody at home, Western Mass News wants to bring more of your vaccine questions to the experts. We want to ask the doctors what you are thinking. So send a question to vax@westernmassnews.com. And your question could be asked on the air. Thank you again, Doc, for coming on today and working with our tight clock. Coming up on Better Western Mass, we have some unique meal ideas and bold flavors to help mix up meal planning using frozen foods, plus some baking tips to help make baking fun and easy. Time, everybody, for some better cooking. With so many families being home for really every meal, many are looking for unique meal ideas and bold flavors to mix up meal planning. Innovation is in the frozen food aisle. Well, that means that you can find foods for every dietary and lifestyle you could want or need. So let's talk more about this. We have chef and TV personality Jamie Gwen joining us now with quite the spread in front of her, all things frozen. So are you seeing any trends, Jamie, like in the frozen food aisle?
Actually, yes, we are. Hi, Taylor. I'm very glad to be with you. Frozen foods, I like to say, are hotter than ever. It's true, actually. It's real food. It's just frozen. And the pandemic had all of us stocking up, right? But what I think really happened is there was this wonderful epiphany that there is a discovery to all the great products that the frozen food aisle has to offer. And really, there's an evolution to meet the consumer demand. So if you're looking for delicious quality choices, you should rush to your frozen food aisle. There's convenience, there's variety, no matter your diet or lifestyle. And March is Frozen Food Month, as you alluded to, so it's the perfect time to stock up or try something new. There's also lots of really special deals at your local grocer to take advantage of.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I find sometimes those, not to say the brand, but the frozen vegetables and stuff, I mean, you can just load up on that sort of stuff. But then also the convenience of frozen foods, as you were saying there. But sometimes people feel like, hey, it's convenient. Does that mean I'm sacrificing health? What do you have to say about that?
No, and that's a great question. I mean, I'll tell you, as a professional chef, I am proud to shop in the frozen food aisle. Here's an interesting tidbit. According to the National Frozen and Refrigerated Foods Association, frozen food sales are up 22%. In 2020, that is, and for good reason, because these manufacturers are innovating and there is a freshness factor that is better than ever. So I talk a lot about IQF. Individually quick frozen. It's why the berries in the bag that you buy frozen for your morning smoothie, right, are not all stuck together. They freeze them sometimes fresh from the field, in the field individually, and then they put them into the bag and they deliver them to you, right? What's genius about it is the innovation in the progress of it. So the fruits and vegetables that you talk about, all those nutrients, the benefits are locked in, and the foods stay fresher longer. You get a little bit of longer shelf life. You get ultimately less waste, right? I have a little kitchen fatigue. I think everyone does. Now you can buy so much already prepped and done in the freezer section, no peeling or chopping. So we're saving time, but we're eating well.
I love that. I love that right there. And before we wrap up here, you have any recipes real quickly that you might want to surprise or tell the viewers about that'll be up their alley?
Of course, you want to come eat with me? I'd love it. So check this out. This is what I call the ultimate snack board. There's no doubt we're a nation of grazers, right? The frozen food aisle has so many heat and eat options. With no guilt, by the way, if you use your air fryer like I did, movie night or game night, this is everything I love. A pancake breakfast sandwich, pancake top and bottom, what could be bad, right? Sausage patty could be a vegan patty, could be a gluten-free pancake. So many choices today. This is a great grab and go. This is a one-pan wonder. This is a waffle fry nachos. And I love the nutritious aspect of it, but that you can get it on the table fast. And then my 3-ingredient lemon pie mousse uses frozen whipped topping. Super simple, full of spring flavor. All the recipes, by the way, posted at easyhomemeals.com.
EasyHomeMeals.com. Viewers at home, go check that out. She's Chef Jamie Gwen, a true superstar. Thank you very much, Chef, for this insight into the Frozen Food Month. Take care, all right?
Thank you for having me. Stay well.
You too. All right, that was interesting stuff right there. Coming up on Better Western Mass, if you're looking to pick up a hobby, we've got some baking tips that may make you want to bring out your apron. And welcome back, everybody. Spending so much extra time at home over the past year has really forced so many of us to pick up some new hobbies. So for many people, that hobby is baking. This afternoon, we have some tips for you from an editor over at Rachel Ray in Season Magazine on how to be a better baker.
The next time you're making cookies, we encourage you to make a double batch. It doesn't take much extra time up front, but we assure you that you'll be so happy when you find them stashed in your freezer. It's really easy to do. When you're scooping the dough, you just put the dough balls on a parchment-lined baking sheet and pop it right in the freezer. Once it's frozen, you'll transfer that dough to a resealable plastic bag. And when you're ready to bake, all you have to do is take the dough out, put it on the parchment, and stick it in the oven. You can bake it just as you normally would, just add a few extra minutes of time. If you're anything like me, your bananas end up turning brown before you finish them. But there's no need to worry about that. In fact, sometimes I even let my bananas go brown, knowing that I'll want to make banana bread in my future. So what you'll do, once they go brown, you'll just pop them right in a resealable plastic bag, peel and all, and throw that in your freezer. When you're ready to bake, you'll just take the bananas out. You can put them in a bowl, allow them to thaw, and then you can squeeze the fruit right out of the peel and mash it, and you're good to go. So you can build your pantry like the pros. Take inventory of what shelf-stable baking supplies you have and the ones that you don't, such as flour or sugar or baking soda, even dried fruits or nuts. Make a list. And then every time you're out shopping or you're making your grocery list, add one or two of those items, and then you can store those away for future use so you're ready. Another thing we like to tell people is to always have a few sticks of butter in the freezer, so then you're ready to go. So we've all been there. We've started a recipe or we are planning on making something, and all of a sudden we realize that there's an ingredient that we don't have. Don't worry, in most cases, there are perfectly fine substitutes. For example, eggs. So there's lots of ingredients that can substitute for the moisture and binding power that eggs provide. For example, you could use applesauce, or in some cases, you can use mayonnaise, and you can even use some of those mashed bananas. Also, for baking soda, if you don't have it, you can use baking powder. If that's something available to you, you just have to use 4 times the amount that the recipe called for. Last is I don't have buttermilk. And a lot of baking recipes do call for buttermilk. So easy fix, you can make your own. You just use a scant cup of milk, and then you just add a tablespoon of lemon juice or distilled white vinegar, mix it in, and you're good to go. Or you can just substitute the buttermilk entirely with thinned out sour cream or yogurt.
Welcome back, folks. So let's stay in the entertainment world. We have a look at what's coming up tonight on the new episode of People TV. Take a look.
Tonight on People, the inspiring story of Dana Giordano, who beat cancer as a teenager and now has her eyes set on the Olympics this summer.
You're a kid, you go off for the summer, and then this thing happens to you, and you go back to school, and it's like everyone was already doing their own thing the whole summer, and you come back and you're a completely different person.
Dana was an admittedly skinny teen and was happy when her pants suddenly fit a little tight. Then she learned her weight gain was due to a massive tumor in her ovary.
They found a large, kind of this size, malignant teratoma. We always say it was like 5.5 pounds. So it's kind of like a standard cantaloupe size and weight, pretty much the next day after I got the scans and found out what it was, I went straight into surgery.
Dana's journey from cancer to the upcoming Olympic trials tonight, only on People.
Wow, what a story there. I interviewed Jeremy Parsons this morning. All right, more to get to, including some stories to boost your spirits. But let's sit after break with a look at your Steal and Deal.
Hey guys, I think we've all been reading about how important it is to self-care. That means really taking care of yourself from home because maybe you're busy or you're not able to get to a professional salon right now or whatever it happens to be. Luckily, someone has solved that. This is called Salon Step, and I think it's absolutely brilliant, and everyone should have one. And I know my sisters would love it, and I have to send one to my niece in college. But it folds up flat for storage, number one. Number two, great height, perfect height, adjustable angles. This is where you put your foot. Love that. Here's 3 different places for polish, more room to store, a great little shelf here, a drawer here, right? And a magnifying glass. So now your foot is at the right height, the right angle, and you can see. I know. Oh my gosh. It's brilliant, right? I can't believe I didn't think of this. So magnifying glass, good to go. Now you can see what you're doing. It's at the right angle. Your toes look amazing. And when you're done, wait for it, the piece de resistance. It has a little fan. Isn't that the cutest thing ever? So it helps dry your toes. Now, you may think that having a pedicure is a small thing, but as a woman, you know that it's not. It really just makes you feel like you look good and you look your best. Right now on localsteals.com, we have a very special offer on Salon Step. I know you're going to love it. I know that your feet are going to thank you, and I can't wait for you to try it.
Welcome back, everybody, to Better Western Mass on this Monday afternoon. And it's Monday, never feels good, but these stories do. As more and more seniors get vaccinated, we are seeing some emotional reunions. In Louisiana, Patrick getting to hug his grandparents for the first time in 8 months after they were vaccinated, and they traveled from Florida to visit. You see some of that video right there. In Detroit, Florence Smith taking her children to surprise her father, Bobby Daniels, for the first time in a year, and Nora Coey jumping into her grandfather, Robert Coey's lap in Providence, Rhode Island, after he was vaccinated. You see it right there. I mean, I hope you just keep seeing that across the country. We got to get out of this thing. And Broadway performers took to Times Square on Friday to mark 1 year since theaters in the Big Apple went dark. Organizers say the event was put together to create hope for the nearly 100,000 people who rely on the theater industry for their livelihood. Television and film industries have been slowly getting back to work, but Broadway theaters remain shuttered. And Chester Zoo in northern England is celebrating the birth of a rare giraffe after a 15-month pregnancy. Get a load of this black and white video too, almost like thermal video we're looking at. So Mom Orla delivered a male calf, the baby weighing in, oh my gosh, this is gonna hurt if you hear this, 154 pounds, measuring 6 feet tall. Experts predict he will eventually grow to a height of 18 feet. Rothschild giraffes are one of the world's most at-risk mammals, with only about 1,600 left. And when you see a face like that, my God, who wouldn't want more of those roaming around here? Although you can't really build fences and keep those guys out. Go check out the Lupus Zoo's giraffe if you ever get a chance. I used to always enjoy that when I'd make trips out there. Alas, now I'm in the studio all the time. All right, everybody, we're out of time. Stay with Western Mass News on air online for the latest. Take care, all right?